So, Jim, welcome along. Now, you recently displayed your resilience by jumping off a bridge in Queenstown.
Queenstown!
Paint us a picture now, if you could, of how serious the situation New Zealand now finds itself in.
We find ourselves now as a country that had as its largest foreign exchange earner tourism, really in quite a lot of trouble. Now, I mean, all industries are affected by this in some fashion, but if you take tourism, and particularly the Queenstown Lakes District, for most of New Zealand, tourism is important. For our part of the world, it simply was our economy. And it's rather like just turning the ignition key off in your car. That's it. There is no income. This is not a reduction. This is a cessation of income.
I think last year your visitor count was 70% international tourists. So while we wait for the borders to reopen, can Queenstown survive just with domestic tourism?
We can survive. We're certainly not going to thrive. Domestic tourism is never as lucrative, if I can put it that way, as the international market. But gee, we need Kiwis at the present point in time. Really encouraging aspect is the fact that 36% of our visitors to Queenstown and Wanaka last year were Kiwis. So we know they like coming here. We need them to come back in numbers. If we can get the Trans-Tasman bubble operating, with Australians coming here, we know Australians love coming to Queenstown and Wanaka, so we think we will do okay if we can get there. It'll be tough, but we'll survive.
And it sounds as though ecotourism might be one of the solutions.
The signs were being written on the wall for mass tourism over the past couple of years. And I wouldn't say we were anywhere near the issues that places like Italy and Spain were facing. But we were seeing some pushback in our community. Since the 1980s, we've been talking about value over volume. Nobody's ever really cracked the nut. Well, I think it's time that we did that. We're starting to see the development of a greater interest in culture in the district. We're interested in the iwi history in our district and how we may attract people here to share that part of our district with them.
Our government is focusing heavily on construction to kickstart the economy. Where will Queenstown fit in that?
We've put a number of projects forward for the government shovel-ready process. We're very hopeful that we will get a couple of major projects approved for that, as well as providing better infrastructure. It's also about providing jobs and economic boost for the district as well. Combined, that's about 300 million. What a great time to put that infrastructure in place when we've got lower visitor numbers, less impediment, less interruption to business.
You've had some pretty tough times in Queenstown with food parcels being shared around, and even talk by you a few weeks ago of a possible humanitarian crisis. Hopefully that did not eventuate.
Look, I still think that's a possibility. So we've got somewhere in the region of 4,000 to 5,000 migrant workers in the district. Unlike Kiwis, they don't get supported by the state if they lose their jobs. Through the Civil Defence Emergency Funding money, we've paid out in the order of $1.5 million in support packages, primarily food vouchers, utility payments, etc., to these folk, just to keep them going. Now, with lockdown easing out, we're worried that some will start to get moved out of their houses because they haven't been paying their rent. But of greater concern, when the supplementary wage runs out, and it's been extended, but when it finally does run out, I think there's a lot of those people think they still have a job. They're going to find out they don't have a job. What happens then? I'm really concerned that we will end up with a large number of people in this district who don't have an income, in danger of losing a place to live, and I am talking to government about the sort of support that those folk will need. It's going to be really tough. I'm really worried for people who are losing their jobs. Week before last, I was counting from the stories in the newspapers redundancies, and in one 3-day period, I counted 1,200. I think we're up around 8,000 unemployed in the district at the present time. I'm worried for those people. I'm worried for how they provide for their families, how they pay their mortgages, how they pay their rent, their car payments, all the rest of it. I'm worried for the small business owners in particular. A lot of them have absolutely put everything they've got into their businesses. Are they going to survive? I'm really concerned for them. I'm asking government to assist to try to keep those businesses alive. I'm also worried about the bigger operators. You might think the larger companies are more robust. Yes, they are. But if they're walking wounded when they come out the end of this, they're not going to be employing people in the numbers that we hope they would. So they will need some assistance as well. So pretty harsh starting ground to go forward. But I take a lot of heart out of several things. One is that we do live in probably the most beautiful part of the world. That won't change. The tourism infrastructure, which is here, the activities, the wineries, the hotels, etc., will still be there. So we will eventually get people back there. I think what I hope will change will be a realisation that we do need to be more resilient in the future, that we do need to target a higher value tourist, that we do need to find other ways of growing our economy. Education, tech industries, medical tourism, just to name a few that come to mind. Look, we're a resilient bunch. We invented lots of new ways of doing things down here, like commercial jet boating and bungee jumping, etc. We'll come through this, and I suspect that we'll be a lot wiser at the end of it.